24. Dear Kiddo, take my hand into darkness. Mom moves in, and it goes predictably terribly. Kiddo, there are some people you just shouldn't live with. It's not a matter of love or hate. It's simply a matter of self-preservation. Your mother and I learned this the hard way. There came a point when we both realized that if we continued living under the same roof, one of us was going to end up on an episode of Dateline. It wasn't that we didn't love each other. It was just that our cohabitation was problematic. Living with Mom was like being roommates with a particularly judgmental sloth. She didn't do much, didn't want me to do much, and somehow always found a way to make me feel guilty for doing the things I loved. She'd moved out, finally, but the memories of our time as housemates stuck with me like a bad tattoo. Let me explain. I'm an active person. I like to mountain bike, road bike, trail run, you name it. It's not just exercise, it's therapy. But Mom thought these hobbies were borderline offensive. Anytime I'd lace up my running shoes or strap on my helmet, she'd roll her eyes like I was announcing plans to rob a bank. Why do you have to go running all the time? She'd ask, as though cardio were a personal affront to her existence. Because I like it, Mom. It's good for me, I'd reply. Well, I think it's selfish, she'd say, crossing her arms. You could be spending that time with me, and there it was. The classic mom move, making my desire to not slowly waste away into a sedentary blob somehow about her. The woman had no hobbies or interests of her own, and instead of using that as an opportunity to discover something new, she decided her full-time pastime would be making me feel guilty for having a life. We even made an agreement, one I thought was reasonable at the time. I'd have 2 evenings a week to write. Just 2. That was it. But no matter how airtight the deal seemed, Mom always found a way to unravel it. I'd settle into my office, the creative juices flowing, when I'd hear her voice floating down the hallway like a ghost that refused to be ignored. Are you seriously going to lock yourself in there all night? She'd yell. Mom, we agreed on this, I'd reply, trying to keep my cool. Well, I don't think it's healthy to isolate yourself like this. You're shutting me out. I wasn't shutting her out. I was trying to protect my sanity. But you can't explain that to someone who thinks alone time is a personal attack. To her, my writing wasn't just a hobby. It was a rejection of her. And hanging out with Mom? It wasn't exactly a good time. You see, Mom didn't understand the art of conversation. Talking to her was like playing a game where only one person knew the rules, and the rules changed every 5 minutes. She didn't enjoy debates or banter. She didn't see the joy in exploring different perspectives or playing devil's advocate. No, to have a good conversation with Mom meant agreeing with everything she said, no matter how bizarre, illogical, or downright idiotic her points might be. For example, one time we were talking about food, and I mentioned that I liked trying new cuisines. She launched into a tirade about how fusion food is ruining traditional cooking and how real chefs don't need to mix cultures to make something good. I tried to push back. But Mom, isn't all food fusion, really? Like, tomatoes weren't even in Italy until the 16th century. Isn't spaghetti technically fusion? Her face twisted into a mask of pure indignation. That's different, she snapped, offering no further explanation. That's the thing about Mom. Logic was optional. Trying to reason with her was like arguing with a brick wall. Except the brick wall also had a knack for guilt-tripping you into thinking it was your fault it existed in the first place. And don't even get me started on her dogmatism. Mom wasn't just opinionated, she was ideological. She didn't just have beliefs, she treated them like universal truths, carved in stone by the gods themselves. If you dared to challenge her, you weren't just wrong, you were a heretic. One time, I casually mentioned that I didn't think all of Shakespeare's plays were that great. Big mistake. Mom looked at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. Shakespeare is a genius, she said, her voice trembling with righteous fury. I'm not saying he's bad, I tried to explain. I'm just saying not everything he wrote is perfect. Name one bad play, she challenged, as though this was some kind of courtroom drama. I don't know. Timon of Athens? I've never seen it, she said, glaring at me. But I'm sure it's better than anything you've ever written. Touché, Mom. Touché. Looking back, I realized now that living with her was like being in a sitcom where the laugh track had been replaced with sighs of exasperation. Sure, we had some good times, but they were overshadowed by the constant tug-of-war between my need for independence and her need for control. So, kiddo, take my hand into darkness. Because if there's one thing I learned from living with your mother, it's that sometimes the best way to love someone is to live as far away from them as humanly possible. And trust me, your feet will thank you for it.